I'm back. I'm back because I just again wanted to kind of touch bases on some things that I see, some things that I've heard, and my thoughts on a bunch of stuff, right? So I am going to dissect the reason why I'm joining live for a minute. Um, Once again, this is Charles Madison of Nexxlegacy Radio. Thank you for subscribing, tuning in to what I have to say. And it's just, I'm big on news reporting, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Something triggers me always to get in here and talk about things. So I'm literally at a point right now where I just need y'all to be able to see this, witness this as well, as far as just the stuff that's going on in this world today. And what's going on in this world today is probably something that we all are. I'm just going to upload it, put it in here so everybody can see it, consume it themselves, and be the judge of. So basically, our current president basically went on True Social and said the museums, which he's talking about the Smithsonian and others, throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. The Smithsonian is out of control. Where everything is discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished and downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We are not going to allow this to happen. And I've instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and to start the exact same process that has been done with colleges and universities, where tremendous progress has been made. This country cannot be woke because woke is broke. We have the hottest country in the world, and we want people to talk about it, including in our museums. He said this. This is a verbatim quote that you see right here. So I have a whole lot to digest and unpack, and I would love to have your thoughts and feedback on it all as well. Because when I hear people talk about that, and basically I'm in a situation where if you're an African American or you consider yourself a black male or female or child or anything like that, we are descendants of a lot of people who um, were victims of slavery. Um, and I, for one, have had history in my families that can date back to such a thing when it was a thing. But let's just also keep it real. There was a lot of stuff that went down in the 50s and 60s where, I mean, you could see it. Black folks could not use restrooms, could not uh, use restaurants, could not sit in the front of the bus. We had to sit in the back of the bus because of the color of our skin. There's a lot of people that went through that. And when you talk about the 50s and 60s, you're talking about people, let's just keep it dated. I was born in the 70s. This shit went on in the 60s. So correct me if I'm wrong, but 50, 60 years ago, we were in this situation where if people think that how bad slavery was and how white folks treated black folks, some, I'm not going to say all, uh, was played and portrayed throughout our lives and our history, and it still resonates with us today. And if people are going to ignore that fact because they don't want to open up a painful wound or a scar of this country, then I'm sorry, you're ignoring history, and shame on you because of that. Like, I never understood in my lifetime why people want to sweep racism under the rug like it never happened or it never existed. And I'm talking about, not just talking about the 50s and 60s, I'm talking about the 70s and 80s and a bunch of other places where it affected us too on so many different levels. Um, so I'm a little disturbed by what this current administration, this current president has said in regards to this. So if he's saying the Smithsonian is out of control and he's saying the country is horrible and how bad slavery was, I'm sorry. Was slavery ever good? No. Was racism in the 50s, 60s, and beyond any good? No. I'm here in America because I was born here. I don't like the way certain people are and how they portrayed. And this right here is a slap in the face of anybody who is or has come from descendants of great great grandparents and things like that who were slaves. I was talking to someone that I know recently, and I was unearthed a picture of my great great grandmother, and I heard stories about her um, and how she was a slave, but she was an unruly one. My great great grandmother had to uh, shut up a bunch of different times because she was very opinionated. Um, some would say she was very not just outspoken, but she kind of had like a mental problem too in some cases or whatnot. Like as I'm learning about the history of my family and who my great great grandmother was, um, and nobody never really messed with her, or, blacks or whites, because she was one who was very outspoken and opinionated, and she would whoop on people's asses, black people and white people or whatever. So I know I'm going through the story of this history because I'm just now getting to know some of my ancestors or whatnot that went through different things like that. So I'm telling you now, like, I don't understand why people can say that this is out of control. And I was looking at CNN in a couple of different places, and people that is not of color have an opinion. But instead of people that didn't go through what some of our ancestors went through, I would only request that you listen instead of responding. There's some response saying that, oh, things have been great since before then, so why do we have to talk about it now? I'm hearing this real time in 2025. But again, I will stress this: if you don't have ancestors who were slaves and how it affected our lives and society and what we deal with, then you have no opinion. You just need to listen to how we feel and where our responses are in regards to shit like this. Because this country was built on the backs of slaves. So how is this being shushed away in historical terms because this current administration do not like the woke nature of how the country was built? It's just like if I did something wrong and I sweep it under the rug, but I don't want anybody to talk about it because I swept it under the rug. Does that make it okay? No, it doesn't. This honestly pisses me off to the point where I need to speak up for it. I would love for you all to speak up for it if you are of color or not, or if you agree with me or not. But I think the people that don't agree with me just need to listen. That's it. That's all. It's just listen. Listen to why some of us are pissed. Listen to why some of us have a say in what goes on and why this is something that should not be ignored. People forget the White House was built brick by brick, layer by layer by a lot of slaves at particular times before we had our first president. That was built by slaves. We had a lot of black folks who invented things that still carries on to this day in terms of the necessity for it. Um, and to get out of that struggle, to still be an inventor, to still be a, a relevant factor in the United States of America is important to share. where you came from, what you went through, and what it took for you to persevere and get through it. I don't understand why we are here. I don't understand why we got to this point. But all I got to say is when it comes to him saying, him being the president of the United States, saying that the focus is on how bad slavery was, I still think it's a reflection from this. Give us them damn files. You're deflecting, bruh, on so many different levels. So how can you pivot? You did something today that sparked me to be able to have this conversation right now. And I swear, like, this wasn't something I was thinking about trying to do and things like that too. I don't want us to forget the legacy of everyone who had to struggle to make it. And you got to think about it. You're going back. I'm not just talking about 200 years. I'm talking about 400 years. I'm talking about in the 60s. In the 60s, y'all. In the 60s. People had to go through this. I wasn't born in the 60s, but I also remember the conversation that Reggie Jackson had when he had to go back to Alabama for a baseball night in America where they were talking about certain things. And Reggie Jackson, you can go look it up. It's there. I'm not paraphrasing or anything like that. I'm just saying what he said. Reggie Jackson said this was the worst of the times of his life, and it triggered a lot of emotional moments for him in Alabama because as a baseball player, he played, but he also went to hotels and they wouldn't let him sleep in a hotel. He went to restaurants and he wasn't allowed to eat there. If it wasn't for other white people that was in his camp that spoke up for him, that instead, if a hotel wasn't available to black people at that particular time, Reggie Jackson said he had to sleep on a couch of his pitching coach's house. So he gave a lot of love to the white people who also got him out of trouble in terms of, well, blacks weren't allowed here. So you know what? You're not going to take my service at all, period. So we're just going to go ahead and float through it. And we're just going to figure it out or find a way. So he mentioned the Sandy Aldersons and the Dave Duncans and some of the people who were very, very supportive that was not black. So I'm saying that there is enough of us to know the history, and there's enough of people that is not black that I'm encouraging you to take a stand and ignore what this current man is saying that's in this administration right now, because how dare he to ignore. And a lot of people are going to pivot and be like, well, people need to talk about the success and brightness and everything else as far as our future. Absolutely. We should talk about that. I agree with him on that. But also, I would be upset if we ignored history, how you got to where you got to. So he's trying to go to museums and outlaw that. Take it away. You know what? Slaves and the people who wore this stuff or whatever, let's remove it. We don't need it there. That's basically what he's saying. And Trump characterized the Smithsonian as the last segment of woke culture and announced that he has instructed his attorneys to review its exhibits and a process to intervene and carry out the stuff that happened between colleges and universities and things like that. That doesn't make it right, y'all. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, he's pivoting from this. And I just feel like when it's all said and done, he's going to continue to go down paths that's going to trigger certain people to say certain things about the way the United States of America is governed and how we need to deal with him, because he's trying to pivot in from a lot of different things, and especially this. I still want to see the files. We all want to see the files, but deeper than that, y'all, it's I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm just now recently finding out about my great great grandmother who was a slave. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who are looking for opportunity to be able to know and get to know the people that was in your lives. If you have ancestors or whatnot, trying to figure out exactly that. I want to know because I want to know what these people went through. Because if it wasn't for my great great grandmother that then went on to still be alive to be able to do what needed to be done, I may not have been here. I'm just saying, y'all, it runs deeper than that. And what I don't understand is how this administration, this current president, is here to discuss this. And he keeps saying woke. And I know that's a term loosely dealt with by a lot of people in terms of like, you know, I had a woke cap at one point in time. Like, I just feel like woke can mean so many different things. And I just want to understand my interpretation of woke is, are you woke enough to know that there's pieces of slavery that's floating around here throughout our country that needs to be acknowledged? It's a dirty system that we dealt with for years and years and years. But again, I'm telling you this now because I had parents that grew up in the 50s and 60s. We knew what that life was looking. And you got to think about it. I came right after that in the 70s. I heard the stories of what my grandparents went through when they couldn't go to certain places because of the color of their skin. You know how traumatized that is, have been, and was for a lot of people within not just urban communities, but in general. And all my like woke, quote unquote, white folks who literally saw that and took offense to everything that these people were doing at the end of the day. There's a lot of winners out there that's white folks that help black folks, period. And the ones that do and have done that, I love you. I love you to death for that. When they needed you the most, come through. I'm tired. I'm tired of the way this is working, y'all. We got to figure out other ways to be able to kind of filter out this shit. Try to figure out a way where we could fight back in a lot of ways. And I'm not talking about militant wise. I'm talking about get this man out of office. I'm talking about trying to get the people that he rolls with that's trying to desecrate the slaves that literally helped build this country and things of that nature. I need y'all to really tap in and just do more. Like, we need it in the worst way, y'all. This can't be ignored. Just like he's trying to ignore this. I mean, it's not right to be able to be in a situation like this when it's all said and done, where we got to deal with an administration that's on some foul shit. I'm telling y'all, it's run deeper than that. And I'll read this verbatim before I tap out and fade out, but I would love to have your thoughts or whatever. You can leave it in the comments. You can do what you need to do. But this is me venting to the public to let y'all know that we need to do more in order for us to be able to get through this. So y'all know this move was the signed into the year titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History, which directed J.D. Vance and other federal officials to audit the Smithsonian content for improper ideology, which aims to eliminate what the administration deems divisive or anti-American. So if y'all thought slavery is anti-American, so y'all want to poo-poo it away, no, it's literally what y'all Americans called at that time. It was part of history. So if you don't like the way ugly looked back then maybe you need to look in the fucking mirror and figure out what it is that you need to do. Civil rights leaders and historians have sharply criticized the latest development, arguing that it threatens to erase critical historical truths about slavery and racial injustice. Democratic representatives, including Congressional Black Caucus, have condemned the efforts as an attempt to rewrite history and suppress acknowledgement of systematic oppression. March 2025, Trump signed an executive order targeting Smithsonian exhibits for ideological content, citing concerns about the institution's portrayal of American history. Smithsonian comprises 21 museums, galleries, and National Zoo. Among those highlighted by Trump, including the National Museum of African American History and Culture and the National Museum of American History, the institutions that confront slavery and its legacy. I don't know. That would piss me off though. Like if you literally like think about this stuff, you're looking at history right there, old photos, probably like clothing, different things during the times of slavery or whatnot, and it's not going to show up in these museums anymore. They're going to like either burn them, hide them, do something, make it make sense. I don't know. I do know this though. We shouldn't stand for it though. We shouldn't be put in a position where we have to acknowledge this out here, where to me, I think everybody that has any common sense could say that, you know what? I think this is wrong. I think history needs to be discussed, even if it's painful history. I don't get it. I would love your thoughts. But I had to come on for a little bit to at least express this, put this out there, and to say it's wrong. I'm going to show these again, but think about the history of where we came from. These people right there, somewhere in this crowd, is probably your great-great-grandmother or great-great-grandfather or something like that. They want to wipe that away. How do you feel about it? How does that make you feel at the end of the day? I don't know. It would piss me off. Just like this pisses me off that they haven't even come to the conclusion on this. Just saying, at the end of the day, this is our history, y'all. Subscribe, hit the notifications button. Thanks for listening and listening to me vent. I don't go off scripts. I just say what I feel what I say, and I just do what I do. But I appreciate all of you out there who's on to my page and looking at what I try to do. I try to spark conversation, be it if it's good or controversial, in a way where you, the people, have the voice to be able to add to what needs to be added on to in terms of our history and our legacy and everything. So I appreciate you tuning in. Just go ahead and hit the notifications button. I'm sure you'll be able to get me to do something or hit up something somewhere. But I just want to share my thoughts with y'all, and I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to come from a place of hate. It's just really insane that we are here right now to discuss this, because slavery was bad, but it was part of our history. We need to understand it and do better so we will not repeat this same thing again. But what did that do after slavery? After slavery was abolished, quote unquote, I just feel like they went backwards, and they continue to do this because that's the same reason why we're here. And our grandparents had to go through the same shit that our great grandparents had to go through. And to me, I don't think that's right. I think that's wrong on so many different levels. And I just think that it's ugly that we have to like be frustrated enough to talk about it. I know some mainstream news areas and outlets are talking about this right now, but they'll go from a segment and they'll have people talk, and then that's it. But I will end with this though. Anybody that has an opinion, you're rightfully to it. But anybody that does not have a descendant of slavery should not form your own opinion until you listen to what we have to say. Because to me, if you they're just, y'all just need to be quiet. It was slavery. It was 400 years ago, 200 years ago, whatever. It's good now. No, it's not. No, it's not. I want to say I was a victim of racial profiling, maybe in my lifetime, probably about 5 or 6 times. It's numb to me, but at the same time, it gives me trauma too. Just being honest. But I don't want to ignore what people don't understand. I'm all for it if you are willing to sit down and, you know what, let me listen to you, because I don't have any descendants that came from there. Maybe you do. And I don't get or understand why people are literally trying to shoot it away and call it a day. I don't get it. But I will get this though. Y'all have an open mind. I need y'all to do that. I need y'all to have a better understanding than where we're at right now, because this current president does not understand what the fuck is going on with anybody but himself. And if he's trying to erase or eradicate any history, then I swear he needs to be put up on charges. Something needs to happen. Something needs to happen fast, because remember, this is his first 8 months in a 4-year term. Are we going to have to deal with this for another 3.5 years? Take a deep breath, you guys. Find ways to communicate with each other instead of trying to be so bitter towards the thing. I would love for him to one day say, you know what, I listened to some people and I was wrong. I need to reset this or rethink this or do whatever. I would love for that to happen. But will he do that? No, not at all. I don't see it. Will he ever do it? No, I don't see it. I don't think so. But it's really not up to him anymore. He is the mouthpiece of the United States, but he doesn't make the United States at all. You do. You the people. So it's really up to you on how you do what you do. But I appreciate y'all taking the time to check me out and to listen to what I have to say. But I will say it again. I really and truly want people to talk about this and understand. Talk about it, understand, form your conclusion. You may not have to agree with me, but honor what I say, just like I will honor what you say. Just like I will I know his agenda. This current administration's agenda is laced on Project 2025 and trying to eradicate stuff that doesn't matter to him, because he wants other people uh to succeed and not everybody. If he was really truly a person for the people, then he would understand me right now. But I don't think he does. He has a different agenda. Play the game, pay close attention, and make sure y'all just have healthy debate and not turning into what he wants it to be, which is a civil war. I'm not about that. I want to listen to all my people, black, brown, white, whoever. So until the next time I go live, just check out my information, check out all my content, and I appreciate the love, y'all. Thanks a lot.